Hey everyone, so I'm just coming back to do my labor and delivery story of my first daughter, my first child. When I first made this channel, I was 17 years old. I'm 22 now. So I was just looking back on the story, and I really wasn't happy with the quality of the video, and that it was in two separate parts. So I just quickly watched it, took some notes down, and wanted to give you guys just a shorter version of it. Okay, so my daughter is now 4. She's 5 this year, September. So let's rewind back 4 years. So her due date was the 21st of September 2012. She was born on the 10th, so she came 2 weeks early. So I had her on the Sunday, and everything sort of got started from the Thursday before. I was doing a lot of walking um, at the like at the end of my pregnancy, and I really think that's what got me going. So my first contraction started when I was shopping on a Thursday night. While I was walking, they kept going. I'm so sorry. I did not even time them. I didn't even time my contractions once with that, like during that labor and delivery. So yeah, they were coming, but when I stopped walking, like when I got home, then they completely stopped. Friday morning, oh well, I did say that they were 40 minutes apart. Like I went for another walk, but that's still really far apart, so that's you know not anything. Um, on Friday morning, though, I do remember waking up with a bit of a leak. It was enough to wake me up. Like, it felt wet and it didn't feel like wee. Um, I didn't know what it was, so I just cleaned myself up and went back to sleep. Um, and then fast forward to Saturday morning, nothing really happened Friday night. Fast forward to Saturday morning, I was walking pretty much all day. I went for a walk in the morning. We were shopping all day. We went to the markets, just anything to help me keep moving. While I was at the markets, I distinctly remember having contractions. They were so bad, like it was like I was in a movie. And I literally had to stop and hold my dad and hold my partner at the time, and I'd like have to stop like in the movies and full breathe through it. So I can remember that so clear. But anytime we would stop walking, like we stopped for lunch, contractions would completely die out. Um, so then on Saturday afternoon, I went for another walk just to try if I could see if I could try kick starting them back up. Um, they did, and they got actually really painful. I do remember. So I hopped in the bath, um, and then they stopped. And since I've been watching everyone else's vlogs and or other people's birth stories, they say when you get into a bath and your contractions stop, it's like it's not real labor. But when you get into a bath and your contractions don't stop, then it's like real labor. So mine stopped. At this point, I got out because I wasn't in pain anymore. And when I got out, I had another little leak. This time, because it happened in front of me, it went on the floor. I could see it. So it was a cloudy color. Its consistency was thick, and cloudy. That's how I can explain it. So I called the maternity ward up and just told them what was happening. They told me to come in and get checked, and don't rush because my contractions were irregular. So we went in, got to the hospital at 9:30 at night on Saturday night. They strapped me up to the monitors. They could see that my contractions were irregular, and I couldn't even feel them at this point. You could just see it on the monitor, like when they would come. I had like one big one when they first hooked me on, and then nothing. They just went away. Um, so I was laying down on my side, and then I got up and I switched to my other side, and I sort of like I put my knees together. Excuse me. I put my knees together, and at that time, I felt a huge burst, and I heard a pop sound. Like I literally heard it, and I felt that pop sound. And I turned to the baby's dad, and I said, I think my water broke. And so I called the nurse. She came in and I told her, I think my water broke. So she told me, stand up. So she grabbed my 2 hands, she helped me stand up. And as soon as both my feet were on the ground, this big waterfall like just came out. It's such a massive, like, went all over her shoes. I could not stop apologizing to her. And she's like, yep, that's definitely your waters. So that was so embarrassing, but they see that every day, so I guess it's nothing to them. So then after that, a doctor came around with an ultrasound machine and just said that, there's still plenty of water in there, so we're going to keep you, and if nothing happens during the night, we're probably going to start an induction the next day. So the next day came. I slept in the maternity ward that night. The next day came, and then 12 o'clock, so 12 in the afternoon, they started my induction. At this time, they also started me on a drip with antibiotics because we weren't sure when my waters broke, because I'd been leaking since Thursday. So I had the drip for antibiotics. She checked me for dilation, and I was not dilated at all. And that first check killed, like, oh my gosh, it hurt me so much. It literally felt like she only had, like, I'm going to show you because it's, labor and delivery story. She only had 2 fingers, like, to check me to go in, but it literally felt like her whole fist was in my vagina searching for my cervix. My cervix was, like, it was so far back. I wasn't dilated at all, so it wasn't where it, should have been if I was in labor, which I wasn't. So, started at 12, 3 hours later, she came and she checked me again, and I was 1 centimeter. That was at 3. 6 hours later, she came and checked me, and I was at a 4. At this point, I was on gas and air. I remember when she told me I was a 4, I started crying, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, it's been 6 hours, and I'm only at 4 centimeters. Like, I was so emotional, and I'm blaming being emotional on the gas and air. The gas and air, I know people have, mixed feelings about it, and some people have reactions, some people don't. I didn't have any reactions at the time when I was on it. I just felt so relaxed. It just made my eyes really heavy, and it made me not remember everything fully, which I think is a good thing for my first delivery. And then at 9 p.m. I got checked, and I was at 6 centimeters. So went up 2 centimeters. At this point, I hadn't been toilet since I'd been admitted the night before. The nurse was really concerned about that, so she wanted me to get up and go to the toilet. I sat on the toilet for about half an hour. Didn't have my gas and air or anything. So all I remember doing is just swaying side to side while I was sitting on the toilet. I didn't urinate. I couldn't. I don't know why. I just could not go, no matter how much I tried to relax. Contractions were coming. I was just swaying side to side. And at 6 centimeters on the toilet, I could feel myself pushing. And when I would push when a contraction came, it gave me some relief. I didn't tell the nurses I was pushing. So then, after I got back to my bed, they put a monitor on the baby's head, and took my straps off because I kept moving too much and I had to keep coming in and fixing the straps, but they're annoying anyway. So they came and put a monitor on the baby's head. At 11 p.m., I was 9 centimeters. At this point, the contractions were so intense. And it's because one of my family members turned my gas and air down instead of up. So I had a really hard time from 9 to 11 because someone turned my gas and air down. While my gas and air was down, before the nurse figured out it was down, I was begging my nurse for an epidural, and the hospital I'm at is really like pro-natural birth, if that's how you say it. They really encourage natural birth, without, any epidurals and stuff. Like, it's there, but they encourage you to do it by yourself. So she gave me a morphine instead. That did absolutely nothing. And then about 1 p.m., before 1 p.m., she figured out that my Gasnier was down. So she put it back up and I was like back to normal. I was fine. The Gasnier, what it does is your contractions go up and then they go back down. The Gasnier will like cut the peak off. So the highest point of your contraction, the most painful, the Gasnier takes that away. So you still feel the build up and you still feel the build down. At 1 p.m., she checked me and said I was 10 centimeters. And all I can remember is because the gas made my eyes really heavy. I just remember like opening my eyes to what I could because they were so heavy. And I just remember the nurse wheeling over the little trolley with all the instruments and stuff on. So I was 10 centimeters, but I didn't have an urge to push. At this point, I couldn't even tell when I was having a contraction. I just felt my stomach was hard the whole time. They told me when to push. I didn't even know when I was pushing. She, was at the bottom of me and would continuously touch my belly to see if I was having contraction because I don't know. I didn't have that urge to push. I just pushed when she told me. And then throughout this whole time, I was so hot. I was just eating ice chips. I was pouring cups of cold water on myself like the whole time. When you start pushing, it's a relief against the contractions because you're working with them instead of, just trying to get through them. You're working with them. The worst part about the actual delivery was the ring of fire. That is when the widest part of the baby's head is coming through, and that's when your vagina is like stretched the most, so it stings because it's stretching. And that was the worst part. My nurse had a cold cloth which she just pat around, and that took the burning. It didn't take it away, but it helped so much. So that's a good tip if any of you want to do that. So I was pushing for 2.5 hours, and then it pretty much took an hour for just her head to come out. Her head was stuck. She was born with a bit of a dent in here from my pubic bone because that's where she got stuck, and that took a long time to come out. When she came out, the nurse, I was begging my nurse to I was like, take her out, it hurts too much. And then when she could finally get a hold of the shoulders, my next contraction, she just pulled her out for me. That is the most weirdest feeling ever. It just feels like, obviously something's coming out of you, but it literally feels like something's coming out of you, and it just feels like jelly, and you're just empty, suddenly empty. It feels so weird. And then she placed her on my chest. While she was on my chest and I was, all infatuated and we're all crying, we're all happy, I was actually getting stitched up. She told me to put the gas back in my mouth. I couldn't feel her stitching. I could just feel pressure, so as if someone was just pressing on me. That's all I could feel. I had two tears. One was inside, on the side of my vagina. She said that didn't need stitches, but the one at the bottom was a 2nd-degree tear, and I had stitches for that. So yeah, she was born at 3:21 a.m., weighing 7 pounds 15 ounces. While the nurse took away to get her needles and stuff, I delivered my placenta. While she was on my chest, the nurse gave me that needle in my thigh, and that speeds up the process of delivering the placenta. I didn't even feel that come out. All that I can really compare that to is when you're in a period and you have a clot of blood come out. If any of you have had that, that's what it feels like. It's like nothing compared to the baby coming out. You don't even feel it. After that, I got up, and as soon as I got up, I felt the side effects of the Gasnier. I got really dizzy. I felt really nauseous. I couldn't stand up straight. Went for a shower, and your first shower is so scary after you give birth because Caesar, sorry, the dog. Yeah, it's so scary because you just see all this blood coming out of you, and it is a lot. It's a lot of blood, and it's scary because while you like, I had stitches, so I was so scared to touch, like, wash myself down there because it would hurt. But there was so much blood coming out, and I actually was anemic after I had her because of how much blood I lost. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. 2.5 hours of pushing. She was born 15 hours after I started my induction. So that's my first daughter, and I'm going to do another video now, straight after this one, about my labor and delivery of my second, which was totally different. So stay tuned for that. Thanks.